Blink 1 of 8.
Many of us want to lead balanced lives. We may think that this involves giving equal attention to all areas of our lives, but this isn't right. The truth is, if our lives were perfectly balanced, we wouldn't move forward. We'd be frantically going around in aimless circles.
The key message here is, don't try to achieve balance. Focus on what is truly important.
If you've ever ridden a bicycle, you'll know that it's almost impossible to maintain balance when it's perfectly still. You first have to gather momentum by gently leaning forward and pedaling. Then, if you want to turn left or right, you have to shift your balance. But if you lean too heavily to one side, you'll topple over. You need to keep adjusting your center of gravity to keep the bike upright. In other words, moving forward requires focus and constant counterbalance. It's the same in our lives. Merely trying to find balance isn't enough. We need to focus on our priorities to get moving. And to keep going, we have to constantly shift weight to different priorities depending on what's most important at any given moment. Let's dig into why we find focusing so hard. We can divide life into 3 areas: work, personal, and home. Our work life involves our job, like running a business or a household. Our personal life consists of our relationships and other social interactions, as well as our goals, hobbies, and health. And our home life is dominated by chores and tasks that keep our day-to-day running smoothly. Each of these areas is, of course, important, but it's impossible to divide our time, energy, and focus equally between them. If we were to spread these 3 resources thinly across all areas of our lives, we'd be putting an awful amount of effort into achieving very little. And yet, this is exactly what often ends up happening. So why do we do it? Well, many of us try to achieve the perfect balance because we think it's what society expects of us. But we need to free ourselves from these unrealistic expectations. To do this, the expectations first need to be identified and then rejected. For example, once upon a time, the author believed that good moms stayed home, baked cookies for their kids, and volunteered regularly at their schools. She felt guilty because she enjoyed her job and her schedule made it hard to meet these strict requirements. Trying to do everything was just too much work and left her feeling unfulfilled. Eventually, though, she shifted her definition of a good mom to one who loves her children in the best way she can. By rejecting the unrealistic expectations, the author stopped trying to balance and started to prioritize, and is now much happier as a result.
Blink 2 of 8.
We make many decisions every single day, but few of us ask ourselves what's guiding our decision-making. Are you just following in the paths of others? Or have you decided on your own purpose that will guide your life? Having a clear purpose is crucial for identifying your priorities and making better decisions. While creating one might seem daunting at first, it's more than worth the effort.
The key message here is, defining your life's purpose will help determine the decisions you make.
Your purpose is a combination of your mission, vision, and core values. Let's look at how to define each of these elements. Start by identifying your mission. To do this, you can use an exercise known as the ABC brain dump. First, write down the letters of the alphabet on a sheet of paper. Spend a couple of minutes thinking about why you do the things you do. Working from letter A to Z, write down whatever comes to mind. Once that's done, you'll have a list of 26 different things. Look for recurring themes and words that pop out and use them to guide your mission statement. Your mission statement should be concise and easy to memorize. Take Nike, for example. Their mission statement is to bring inspiration and innovation to every athlete in the world. Note how their mission statement doesn't talk about what Nike does. Instead, it focuses on why they do what they do. Next, let's make a vision statement. This outlines where you hope to be in the future. To create yours, try using a vision board. Cut out inspiring images and words from magazines and stick them on a poster board. While doing this, ask yourself a couple questions. How do I want to evolve and grow? And how can I make what I'm doing now even better? Use these questions along with the inspiring texts and images on your board to imagine the best possible future. Now, turn this into a short, memorable statement. Finally, let's look at core values. These are a group of words that guide our behavior and shape our actions. Write down words that you would like others to use to describe you in your absence. Ideally, your core values should be 6 words or fewer. If you have more than 6 words, try and cluster similar themes together, and then choose one word that captures the full idea. For example of a particularly strong set of core values, consider those of Adobe: performance, passion, integrity, diversity. It takes a while to define your mission, vision, and core values, but once you have these 3 elements, you'll have outlined your purpose.
Blink 3 of 8.
Do you feel like you're constantly distracted? Between the pings of our smartphones, the beeps of our emails, the lure of Twitter and Instagram, and the black hole of internet browsing, it sometimes seems like a miracle that we ever get anything done. But to be truly productive, we need to cut through all the banal activities and tasks that fill our time and focus on the things that really matter. So, how do we do this?
The key message here is set goals and create clear boundaries to help master your focus.
Take a study conducted among Harvard MBA students just before graduation. The students were asked if they had set any clear written goals and made plans to accomplish them. Researchers found that 84% of the students had not set any goals, while 13% had goals in mind but hadn't written them down. In fact, only 3% had put their goals on paper along with a strategy to achieve them. Fast forward 10 years later, what did the researchers find? The students with abstract goals were making twice as much money as those who had failed to set any goals at all. But even more incredibly, the 3% who had written their goals down were earning 10 times more than the rest of the 97% combined. Clearly, setting goals and writing them down is a powerful motivating force. But it isn't the only way to master our focus. We also need to set clear boundaries. These may appear to limit us, but they actually give us tremendous freedom. Imagine a school near a busy road. During playtime, the children would need to stay near the building to keep safe. But if that school built a boundary or a fence around the playground, the children would be free to run, play, and enjoy their break much more. Similarly, we need to create boundaries to give ourselves time to focus on the different areas of our lives, whether it be work, personal, or home. For example, if you find yourself constantly checking your email inbox outside work hours, why not set some boundaries? Set aside a block of time to intentionally check your work emails. Make sure you don't leave it open-ended. Set a clear start and end time. Similarly, if you find yourself spending half your workday on the phone with friends and family, you may need to kindly ask them to call another time.
Blink 4 of 8.
What does productivity mean to you? Some may feel productive when they cram a maximum number of tasks into the shortest possible time. But actually, productivity is not about getting more done. It's about identifying and focusing on your priorities. Instead of targeting efficiency, we want to be effective. This means focusing on goals rather than deadlines, the quality of our work rather than the quantity, and thinking of the future instead of the present.
The key message here is spend your time on what matters most.
If we are going to become truly effective, we need to rid ourselves of the 3 myths of productivity. These myths limit our focus and encourage us to take on too much. Myth number 1 is that multitasking is productive. Many of us are proud of our multitasking skills, but did you know that the brain is designed to tackle only one job at a time? In fact, multitasking is so foreign to us that when we do it, our productivity drops by 40%. And that's not all. A University of London study found that when people multitask, their IQs drop to levels similar to someone who has skipped a night's sleep or smoked marijuana. So multitasking doesn't just make us slower, it makes us produce work of poor quality. The second myth is that we think we don't have time to take a break. In fact, the opposite is true. One of our biological cycles, the ultradian rhythm, demands that we take a 20-minute break every 90 to 120 minutes. Working nonstop for long stretches of time just tires out the brain. But this is nothing new. Back in 1914, Henry Ford took the radical step of doubling his workers' wages and cutting shifts back from 9 hours to 8. He was criticized and laughed at, but when his rivals noticed Ford's increased output, they copied him. Myth number 3, technology is always better. For example, did you know that writing your ideas and plans on paper is way more effective than typing? When we write by hand, it triggers the reticular activating system. This tells our brain to pay attention and store up the information. So try closing your laptop and writing ideas on paper from time to time. Banishing these 3 myths and focusing on our priorities will help remind us that all things are not equal and should not be treated as such. For example, Warren Buffett attributes 90% of his wealth to just 10% of the companies in which he has invested. Again and again, it's been proved that when you focus on less, you achieve more.
Blink 5 of 8.
What does your to-do list look like? Is it long and unorganized? Do you tackle minor tasks first because they're easier to cross off and leave important jobs for tomorrow? If so, you're not alone. Battling with our to-do lists can leave us feeling overwhelmed. Surprisingly, most of the time, it's not because we have too much to do. It's because we just don't know where to start. Here's where a priority list might help.
The key message here is, curate a priority list to identify where to spend your precious energy.
A priority list is made up of 3 levels. The first is escalate, which features tasks that are both important and urgent. These could include something like your car breaking down or last-minute adjustments to a project following feedback from your boss. They need to be given first priority. Next, cultivate contains tasks that are important but not urgent, like a long-term project or creating a budget plan. This level requires most of our energy because it allows us to be proactive and produce our best work. At the bottom is accommodate. These are tasks that are unimportant but urgent, such as the majority of phone calls or emails we receive that don't align with our purpose. These are things that shouldn't feature high on your priority list. As you can see, there's no space on a priority list for tasks that are both unimportant and not urgent. So don't include them at all. They're just a waste of your time. Sorting your tasks into this framework and creating your priority list can be challenging. You may struggle to distinguish important tasks from urgent ones. Here, the CLEAR framework can help. If you answer yes to 3 or more questions, then that task is important to you. Any less, it's just urgent. The first CLEAR question asks, is it connected to your purpose? Take Herb Kelleher, the former CEO of Southwest Airlines. Before each decision, he'd ask himself, will this help Southwest to be the best low-cost provider? This wasn't a random question. It was linked to Southwest's simple mission to be the best low-cost airline there was. Any decision that didn't make it past this question was simply dropped. His method clearly worked. Today, Southwest Airlines is not only an award-winning airline, it has continued to succeed, even in tough economic times where others have failed. The other questions in the CLEAR framework, is it linked to a goal? Is it essential? Is it advantageous? Is it reality-based? Can further help us identify our priorities and stay productive.
Blink 6 of 8.
Unfortunately, life isn't just about focusing on our priorities. We also need to manage our household chores like our laundry, cleaning, and managing finances. It can be challenging trying to take care of these alongside all our other activities. This is where having good systems comes in. We build strong systems by developing positive habits. In turn, once these habits are ingrained, they make tasks happen automatically.
The key message here is, build up good systems by developing the right habits.
Our brains work hard. Though they make up just 2% of our body mass, they consume 20% of our daily calories. When you give your brain too much to do, it loses energy and its ability to make good decisions. Developing good habits will help you conserve your brain power by freeing up space to concentrate on what really matters. So, how do you develop good habits? First, you need to articulate the habit. Ask yourself, why do I want to build a new habit? Let's say, for example, that you want to get fit and healthy. Next, identify the cues. These are triggers that tell the brain to engage in a habit. Cues include location, time, our emotional state, other people, and preceding action. It could be as simple as leaving your sneakers by the door as a reminder to go for a run after work. Then, define the behavior. It takes about 66 days to form a habit, so it helps if, at the beginning, you can identify excuses you might later use to get out of building this habit. Something like, I'm too tired to go for a run, I'll go tomorrow. If you've already predicted the excuse, once the urge to use it comes up, you'll be ready to fight it. Finally, we need to make a plan including the 3 R's: record, reward, and redirect. It can be hard to see any progress when you begin forming your habit, so it's good to record or track your progress. For example, using a running app that tracks each run for you. Next is rewards. Brain research has shown that rewards are important in developing habits. That's because rewards tell the brain that this activity is worth remembering for the future. Once the habit has been formed, you'll no longer need rewards. Finally, learn to redirect. You will stumble at some point. Say you go a week without exercising. That's no reason to quit. You just need to pick yourself back up, recover, and redirect your efforts. Building strong habits isn't hard. It just takes extra energy at the beginning. Once a system has been established, it requires less effort, less energy, and less thinking to maintain.
Blink 7 of 8.
Do you find routines restrictive or liberating? Some people might think they suck the joy out of the day, but actually, routines can make daily life more enjoyable. Why? Because they streamline activities, conserve brain power, and provide time to spend on more important things. Some routines are automatic. Think about what you do when you get up. Brush your teeth, take a shower, put on some deodorant, and so forth. But we can also intentionally design routines to suit our needs. It could be creating time and space for something that matters to us, or it could be a way to get household chores done more effectively.
The key message here is, routines can reduce stress and make your life more enjoyable.
Automated routines are particularly useful when it comes to tasks that we do regularly, like laundry. For example, when the author's kids were around 3 years old, she started making a weekly call-out. It's Tuesday, laundry day. Because this was a ritual, no instructions were needed. Her kids knew exactly what to do. They would each pull out their clothes hamper into the living room. By age 5, they were sorting out the laundry under their mom's supervision. The author could have done this more quickly by herself, but she viewed this automated routine as an investment. Another few years later, the kids were also putting their clothes into the washing machine. Now, both children do their own laundry, as well as the household's bed sheets and towels. Training her children certainly cost the author some time back then, but her investment is paid off in the form of more time for more important tasks now. Automation can also be used to break down tasks that need to be done throughout the year, making overwhelming projects more manageable. For example, we know that taxes are due in April, but waiting until the last moment to sort out our paperwork creates needless stress. Why not start the process in January by creating a folder with a checklist for all the necessary paperwork? Then in February, make sure that all relevant documents are filed. By March, it's time to make an appointment with your accountant. And in April, well, you could just relax. The beauty of these automated routines is that they give you space to be proactive and do your best work. They simplify your life and allow you to run it with less stress.
Blink 8 of 8.
How often do you press pause in your busy life? It may be hard, but we all need to make unstructured time for refreshment and renewal. In other words, we need white space in our lives. The trouble is, we get so absorbed in our daily activities that we start thinking we have no spare time. So here's another question for you. In the last 12 months, have you binge-watched a TV show or mindlessly scrolled through your phone? If your answer is yes, the potential for white space is there. You're just not using it. But, like with many good things, white space does not generate itself automatically. We need to intentionally carve it out.
The key message here is, to be truly productive, give your brain a little space to play and explore.
Making time for ourselves is not a luxury. It's a necessity. It's the gateway to greater productivity, creativity, and concentration. And white space has some real tangible benefits. Research has shown that it can increase our problem-solving abilities, help us bounce back from adversity, and boost self-motivation. If we don't purposefully carve out white space for ourselves, our brains fill that time with meaningless tasks like checking our phones and browsing social media platforms. Recent studies showed that the average person will spend 5 years and 4 months of their life on social media. Surely we can put this time to far more meaningful use. So what's the best way to carve out white space? It's simple. Set boundaries. But this isn't just about fencing off physical time. It's also about disconnecting from our lives, switching off our smartphones, and pausing our email. When the author went on a 5-day technology-free white space vacation with her best friend's family, she realized just how much our screen addiction has distorted our lives. We spend so much time on our devices that we forget to look around and interact with the world around us. With the absence of screens, everyone stayed up late, enjoyed deep conversations with each other, and became absorbed in nature. When we make time for ourselves, it's really an investment that pays out incredible returns.
You've just listened to our blinks to The Joy of Missing Out by Tanya Dalton.
The key message in these blinks is that all too often we allow limiting beliefs to hold us back from enjoying the life we really want. As a result, we may find ourselves taking on so much that we end up overly stressed. But we can reverse this by discovering our guiding purpose and letting it define our priorities. It's only when we realistically adapt our expectations to our lives that we can truly embrace the joy of missing out. And here's one more piece of actionable advice. Learn when to say yes. If you often struggle with deciding which opportunities to accept or decline, this short exercise might help. Start by writing down the opportunity on a piece of paper. Next, write why you want to take this opportunity. Is it aligned with your purpose? If not, then it's an easy no. If this opportunity does harmonize with your purpose, then evaluate whether you have time for it in your schedule. Finally, ask yourself whether saying yes to this opportunity will mean saying no to other important things. Analyze how that feels. If it feels right, this is your yes.
Got feedback? We'd love to hear what you think about our content. Just drop an email to remember@blinkist.com with "The Joy of Missing Out" as the subject line and share your thoughts.